So I think we're ready to do our break and then go right into the discussion.
Yeah,
that works.
All right. We'll see you guys in a little bit.
All right, I do actually need to pee.
You have until the end of the song, Dillatin.
Oh, God damn it.
Hello there.
You can do better than that.
Hello there, my little treasures.
There you go. All right, and welcome to the World of Dragons podcast. Our goal is to build a collection of reviews of Dragon and other non-human related books and other media to make it easier for fellow fans like yourselves to find the next world you want to visit.
We'll open with a brief review of the day's material to help you decide if you're interested. Then we take a short intermission so you have time to stop the episode if you want to read, view, play it for yourself before we spoil it.
When we return, we talk more in-depth about the story, its twists and turns, as well as our favorite characters and what we each enjoyed about the setting. There will be spoilers at this point.
So, hey, I have some exciting news for you two.
We didn't even say who we are yet. Kind of like jumped the gun a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, right, okay.
So I'm Ray, the sea dragon.
I'm Dillatin, the dragon of the bed, hoarder of pillows, and armor of weighted blankets.
You're just going to say that forever now because
it's officially canon, yes.
Someone acknowledged it.
And I'm Bantam, the whipping boy, the half-breed.
The person who I force humanity upon every now and then just for the sake of questions.
And I writhe around as if being burned by acid. So I have some exciting news for the two of you.
Yeah.
We have our first fan email.
Oh my god, it's our first milestone. We've leveled up.
Yep.
Love it.
It's one of the check marks for being a successful podcast.
What's the next check mark?
I don't know.
Fan art?
When it happens, yeah, probably. When it happens, I'll let you know. But anyway, so we got an email from, I hope I got your name right, Tricenix. He is kind of like an ambassador from r/Wormworks on Reddit. And he actually had several questions for us, so we're going to go through them before we start the episode.
Quick shout out to that particular Reddit. I kind of look around on there, so if you want to try to talk to me directly, I can answer some questions for you.
Yeah. We... Edit.
Since people were scared of emails.
Do we want to mention the fact that you got your post removed from a different subreddit for poaching help from their users or some shit?
Oh yeah, we totally can. I went to a romance books subreddit to get some recommendations or advice on stuff because I was going to just test out a genre. Because if you recall, I think episode 4 of Night's Fire, I complained about the shifter tropes. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to read a shifter book, give it an honest chance, and just try it. So I go there and I make a post saying, hey, I need some recommendations because I don't like this genre, but I'm doing some research for a podcast, and I just wanted to give it an honest try. And I got some recommendations. I started reading a couple of them, but then the mod comes and says, hey, I'm locking your post, which I think just means no one else can ever see it until I fix it.
No one can comment on it.
No, I think he said he was going to hide it or something.
What?
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's going to hide my post unless I fix the opening message because I broke 2 rules. One was I can't self-advertise, so I can't mention the podcast, which I guess is kind of fair. A lot of Reddits actually do that. And the other one was you can't researching was against the rules. And I'm like,
you can't solicit the users for help or something like that. It was so stupid. I remember pulling out my phone and looking at this because I was like absolutely just shocked. And yeah, they basically equated Ray as poaching information for using the user base of that subreddit for information. And it's like he's asking a fucking question that has to do with
the genre you guys love.
With the genre that you love. And it's
who
like...
better to get the answers from than you guys? Like, Jesus.
It sounds like all that Reddit wants to be is just, I read this book and it was great. That's it.
If you can't ask for recommendations from a book subreddit, what's the point of it?
Recommendations is okay, but saying I'm doing it for research purposes was what was over the line.
Unacceptable. You fucking monster.
Just phrasing.
It literally was phrasing. I edited the post. I took out the fact that I had a podcast. I just said I just wanted to give the genre an honest try and just left it at that. And I moved the research, literally just the word research. The sentence really didn't change much. And yeah, that was fine.
Well, shout out to r/Wormworks for being awesome, and unshout out to whatever that other subreddit was.
It's okay. I'm probably going to be banned if they ever hear this at this point.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read the opening of this email. It says, "Hello, dragons of the world of dragons. Emailing in to say that I love the latest episode on the Dragon Champion. I like how the three of you actually supplement each other on stuff you guys know, like one on films, one on books, and then games. Nice to see some fresh perspective and veterans talking about dragons as tropes too. Love the banter between the three of you, all those what-if scenarios. The chemistry between you guys is definitely there, and the natural flow of the podcast possibly helps in this regard. So I will say that Dilatan is my boyfriend, and Ray. Should I not?
No, do it.
I guess if you want to. That's
Yes.
just a little personal.
It's so what? And Ray is my best friend of probably 8 years now. The chemistry between the three of us is as strong as it ever can be, because we know every in and out of our personalities. You know, we know what is too far, so we don't ever push those buttons.
I actually am Bantam's owner, and I have to constantly fight Dilatan for supremacy.
I am actually Bantam's owner, and I keep Ray off of him all the time.
You can't be his owner if you're trying to consider him an equal.
That's the neat part. I'm not his equal.
But yeah, I do think that we play off each other very well. That's why every time Dilatan sleeps in for an hour and is going to miss the recording, I get really angry at him and start telling him mean things.
Hold on. It only happened it's one time. The second time I actually requested it because I didn't sleep for crap, and unfortunately my hoard is very low, so I need to do work part-time to put a little extra gold in the pile. You know how it is.
Yeah, you also had that one that episode you went through it all, just me and Bantam by ourselves. And then I'm also going to count the fact that I had to do a solo episode once. So, there you go. 3.5 times.
I blame the plague for 2 of those times.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so his first question goes, as in your Dragon's Champion episode, what is an intelligent dragon? What criteria must fulfill to say that they are as intelligent as a human? If animalistic/instinctive behavior does not consider intelligence, then what does? Was it relative or a bar to set, and who said it?
So I know why he's asking that question, because I kind of gave a very brief definition on my view of intelligence, because I didn't think living in the cave, even if you spoke and had a way of passing down knowledge, for me, intelligence is when you actually start using tools and going beyond just what nature provides you.
But what if nature provides you with everything?
You can still use nature to enhance what you have, enhance your lives. There are certain primates I've seen that I've started using fishing spears, orangutans, for instance, and I consider that hopefully intelligent. Good on them.
I don't consider that intelligent. I mean, using tools is clever, sure, but I feel like intelligence is definitely more of a mental state than it is the ability to use things. Because, theoretically, let's pretend wolves were intelligent, right? They could talk, they formed societies, and they did all of that. Their body structure doesn't let them use tools. So, by your definition, they would never be considered intelligent, even if they were smarter than humans.
Incorrect, because they could still use tools with their mouths.
Uh-huh.
Right. My personal definition on intelligence is empathy. If a creature is capable of understanding another creature's struggles or joy or anger, then I consider that to be a mark of intelligence.
That's empathy.
It's also a major mark of intelligence, because, a wild animal doesn't necessarily give a shit if their prey is dying. They're going to just kill it and eat it. Whereas there have been plenty of times in this book, I've read dragon books in the past where the dragon is literally just an unthinking animal. But the moment you give it the ability to speak and give it empathy for other creatures where it's capable of understanding them, I consider that to be the mark of intelligence.
Okay, I see where you're coming from, and I agree mostly. My personal definition is a little twisted in the sense that empathy is not required. Intelligence is being able to speak, maybe not necessarily the language of the humans or whatever, but they are able to speak and communicate, and then they're able to be reasoned with. I'm reading a book right now where the dragons actually eat people, and they are hooray. They are completely incapable of feeling remorse for it. Like, it just does not make sense. He can talk to the humans and he can, like, understand why they're upset about it, but he's like, but your food. So he has no empathy for them at all, at least in regards to being hunted. But he can still be reasoned with. In fact, they did strike a deal where he stops eating humans, and in exchange, whatever. So even though there's no empathy, he was still able to be reasoned with.
I guess more to refine my answer, I guess I just wanted to state that I don't consider being able to use tools to be a major check mark in the requirements to be intelligent. Because most dragons, they can't do shit with their claws. There was, the Dragon Hack book. He doesn't have the ability to do anything fine, with his claws, because they're
no fine motor skills.
Yeah, they're basically described as, imagine your palm, but then the entire part of your finger is just one big massive claw. So you don't actually have anything to grip with. And same thing with Knight's Fire. He had to change to a human to be able to help with fine motor skills because his dragon claws were not dexterous enough. They wouldn't be able to use tools. They wouldn't be able to read and write, but they're still intelligent. So I guess speech and being able to understand speech should be basically the only requirement for intelligence.
Yep. I haven't read Dragon Riders of Pern, just because it's a really old book, and while I understand it is like the foundation for a lot of dragon novels, it's a little difficult. I can't talk. It's a little difficult for me to get into, just because its writing style is definitely very dated. Kind of like how some people who love fantasies can't get into Tolkien stuff. Again, bringing up Tolkien just every episode at least once.
We just need to beat that corpse one last time every episode.
But I still understand a little bit about how the dragons function, in that they are very basic intelligence, and they can't talk verbally, but they can telepathically communicate with their riders. I still consider that intelligence. They may not be particularly smart, but I still consider them to be intelligent creatures because they can communicate in some way.
Yeah. So his second question is, in the Dragon Champion episode you guys discuss, would you like to be a dragon in that setting? He'd like to take this further. Which dragon's setting, up to now, or maybe other media that we know, would we three like to choose to live as the dragons in that show?
Okay, I understand the last part of that question to mean, because like last time I said, no, Kingdom Hearts was if I went there, I'd be one of these type of dragons. I think he wants to know which world I don't want to live in as my own personal, what I actually am.
Mm-hmm.
No Kingdom Hearts rules.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think he means us three together or individually?
Probably individually, because
okay.
I believe our answers might be different.
That is a good question. One of you guys go while I ponder.
All right, I'll go first. I'd live in the Dragon's Dogma world.
What, the video game?
Yeah.
Aren't dragons extinct except for the big evil guy?
They're not necessarily extinct, but it has nothing to do with the fact that dragons, whatever. It's more. It's a picturesque, serene landscape. It's very beautifully visually. There are a lot of fantasy video games or movies or whatever where everything is bleak and dark and spooky and whatever. And it's like Dragon's Dogma is strange because it's essentially a hack and slash RPG, third person. But the landscape is so beautiful. Actually, I'd like to change my answer. There is a game on Steam. Trying to remember the name of it now.
Angels with Scaly Wings.
No. Oh, okay. So there is a game on Steam called East Shade. And Eastshade, you play as a painter who washed up on this island. And the game doesn't really have any stakes or any danger. The game is literally just helping villagers out with their requests, like, picking flowers, but most of the story quests are actually to create a painting, to go to a specific location, look in a certain direction, frame out your painting, get an easel, crafting easels and paintbrushes, and actually just painting the landscape. It's a very beautiful, serene game where there is no danger. There's nothing out to hunt you or kill you. It's a place where you could relax.
So you just want the safest, least threatening existence out there.
Yeah, I don't want to, struggle to survive. That's not paradise to me.
No, I'll agree with Bantam on that. I'm trying to think of one where dragons are mercilessly hunted and fought over, or a world that's full of magic that's going to destroy itself, i.e. Warcraft style.
Yeah, it's called My Little Pony.
I was actually thinking about saying that.
Oh,
dragons
my
in there. Now listen, I would love to sleep for 100 years. That sounds like paradise.
But the thing is it's already canonically established that you can't breathe fire, and they tormented Spike because he's not a real dragon because he can't breathe fire and hangs out with ponies. Would not.
He
fit
can totally
in
breathe fire, just not a lot.
Just not reliably. Don't worry, I'm gonna be fixing your fire, Dilettante. I do have that one chip challenge that I plan on making. You do.
Hold on now. Listen, I can do a perfectly normal, healthy dragon life without fire.
I have a book for you to read. It's going to be great.
Is it?
It is, because the character. How much can I say without spoiling it? Because this is not the episode for that, so we can't spoil it. But the dragon character in it is ridiculed by his family and friends because he's not, quote, a real dragon, because he can't breathe fire or do other stuff like that. So it's
that's my original plot line.
It is. But yeah, I was so sure you were going to pick Dragonheart just so you could date Draco.
Dragons have it rough there, right?
Yeah, well,
it depends on what time period you come in.
I mean, if you were to jump in the first Dragonheart, the first movie storyline, you could just reason with Bowen, hey, calm the fuck down.
Stop being a prick.
Yeah, because I think Bowen, I know that there were dragon slayers, but I don't think Bowen single-handedly killed all the dragons.
No, he did.
No.
Well, most of them. Like you said, there were other dragon slayers, but he made it his personal vendetta after he felt he was betrayed by the dragon that gave Einen his heart.
So what about you, Ray?
Well, Dilettante didn't really give an answer unless he's going to just go with My Little Pony.
You know what? I am. I'm sticking with it.
All right. Good on you.
Yeah, no judgment. The My Little Pony universe would be actually pretty entertaining. The only reason why I'm going to stick with Eastshade is because there are actual dangers in My Little Pony. I mean, otherwise there'd be
Tyrek.
Yeah, Tyrek and what's the Chrysalis Queen and all that. There are actual dangers. Granted, you could probably just sit back and relax and let the main six take care of it, but
no, in this dark alternate universe, the main six die, now Dilettante has to do it.
Shit.
Yeah,
well, that's doomed.
That's why I'm going to stick in Eastshade where it's nice and serene.
No judgment on him for picking My Little Pony. I mean, I enjoyed the show. I watched most of it. I'm just judging you two on picking such laid-back existences.
Yeah, I don't... All right, then go ahead. Your turn.
All right, so, preamble. It's really hard for me to pick one single world, because, I mean, the whole point of being an avid reader and wanting to make the show talking about a bunch of different worlds is that each one has its own benefits and strengths and weaknesses, and it would be fun to just move around from world to world. It's why I love Kingdom Hearts so much, and why Rick and Morty is tolerable. Just the concept of going from place to place and experiencing all the different existences, right? But that is a cop-out answer, so if I had to pick one, I get to choose my strata in this world, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think it would be something like Dragonlance, or some fairly generic D&D setting where dragons are held in very high regards, usually worshipped, obviously very powerful. You usually need some stupid MacGuffin to kill them.
Well, as long as you're a metallic.
Well, yeah.
Because the chromatics are murdered relentlessly.
Sometimes. The thing is, spoilers for Dragonlance, I guess. In some of the later books, Not some of the latest. I stopped reading that series like 15 years ago. But some of the later books then, they had what were called dragon overlords, where they were actually dragons that came from a different planet, so they were bigger and more powerful than all the dragons that actually lived on Krynn, and they could not be stopped. You could not fight against them. I think only one was killed in the series I read, and that was because there was a lot of cheating with god magic and stuff going on. And they were all chromatic, so screw your alignment system.
All right.
The point being is I love the theme of overpowered protagonists, like Overlord anime, greatest thing ever. I'd want to be that. I'd want to be his powerful thing. I rule over you all, fear me, tremble, done.
Yeah, okay. I will admit that I did really like it. And normally I can't stand it when the main character is completely infallible and invincible, but Overlord was such a good anime because it wasn't him that had to worry. He had to worry about everyone around him. So it was basically an anime of the escort quest, the thing I hate the most. All right, so question 3 is he is wondering if the three of us have our own stories. Like our own settings, our own dragon species, etc. He knows that you do, Ray, but he's wondering what sort of dragon that you're also creating. So I guess this is the moment where we can kind of indulge in our own little self-made canon worlds.
Yeah, I will go last again because my answer is going to be very long.
Okay.
Well, so is mine.
All right. Well, then I'll go first because mine is boring and stupid. But so I created a world called Isulset, where basically Bantam lives, and there's no real danger. It's, there's no humans, there's no other. He basically just lives alone in a tropical paradise. There's lots of flora and fauna, and
if this was a book you actually wrote down and sold, would it be marketed as erotica?
What? No. What? I'm gonna plead the fifth. Anyway. But there are entirely too many distractions now.
Yeah, dilettante.
What did you talk to me for?
You're the biggest distraction.
No. It's video games and YouTube.
I think I'm actually a bigger distraction than you are half the time.
Yeah, you
Ain't
are.
that the truth? Kind of throw me under the bus.
When you just bust into my room and flop onto my bed and go, I'm here now, pay attention to me.
Yep. I'm a dragon that must be pampered at all times.
Yeah, he's a fucking cat.
Hey, don't you dare. I'm going to cut that out because there's no way we're letting the listeners hear that.
Okay.
I get enough of that from you and everyone else.
All right. All right, go ahead. It's your turn, Dale 10.
Okay, how to best summarize this? I've been...
Without spending like an hour talking about it?
I mean, truth be told, I have been building this world since I was like 12 years old, so it's been in development for like 14, 15 years. Yeah. So, to give a small gist, my character is the ruler of a large, spanning empire that's formed of different dragon species and other reptilians in functioning in the caste system. So, you got his species, which handles most of the logistics and transportation due to their flying abilities. There's also small little gecko-like creatures, similar to leopard geckos. They're the merchants and handle... Fuck. Hold on.
He's dead.
Yeah. I had a whole thing planned out while Daniel was talking. Now it just all flew out of my head. Fuck. So you got these small little leopard gecko-like merchants who live off in the deserts of the land, who will bring jewels, beads, other forms of antiquities. There's also thin Komodo-like dragon creatures who handle the farming and lights industry. Big, muscular, dinosaur-looking warriors. They handle the heavy industry, heavy lifting, construction, and serve in the royal military. Eastern dragons who handle most of the religious needs. They serve as the imperial clergy. And the sea dragons, who I've still yet to name, they handle all naval issues, I guess.
I think putting sea dragons in the Navy is kind of racist.
Well, they can't really do much on land.
How dare you, sir?
Look, okay, in the world, their acquisition into the Empire is very recent because Dilettante did marry the Sea Dragon Queen Sierrat, so their cast has not really been adequately defined yet.
You don't need to explain yourself to Ray. Ray, don't world shame.
Yeah, Ray.
No, it's
This is an open discussion.
Cultural appropriation. I'm canceling him.
This is an open discussion. You're not allowed to world shame somebody.
Not world shaming. I'm just trying to elevate my people's position.
I also want to point out that Bantam exists in Dilettante's world.
He's a very big oddity. So
there's also once he started dating, he just kind of just showed up.
Showed up in Dilettante's world.
Well, to be fair, there is tribes of nomadic avians that wander around the world. They usually just stick to their small little hovels and tents and sell whatever they can get their little claws on. So Bantam's like this crossbreed between whatever farmer and bird decided to get it on out in the woods.
Now I need to bring up what you always bring up when crossbreeds come into play. Does it actually fit?
Yes.
Okay.
There's also...
I guess you're a bunch of small dragons.
Well, no, the farmers are. I'm not. The farmers are the size of your average human. I'm like 30 feet. I actually do have a display chart, but I don't have it with me right now. There's also a large fungal infection going on throughout the planet. So at the center, or about 100 or so years ago, before Dilettante ever came to the throne, a lot of the locals started reporting these twisted animals covered in fungus protruding from their eye sockets. They're basically mindless brutes that would go around, slaughter the cattle, bring the villagers alive back into this exclusion zone. And over time, all the trees just became these massive mushrooms spewing out spores. If you inhale these, you will die within 10 hours of very painful asphyxiation. There's also a small group, I'm still in development, of pre-industrial anthro serpents who have a combustible venom they use to power their machines.
Combustible venom.
It's work in progress. I'll figure out the science of this eventually, but essentially all their citizens are required to milk their own venom and ship it out to the government, which they use to power all their machines, their weapons, and this also plays a part in their own weaponry, their rifles and cannons, which basically all have incendiary properties.
That's not out of the realm of possibility. I want to point out, Ray, that one of our favorite games, Divinity Original Sin, poison is flammable.
That's just because freaking Larian has to make everything flammable.
Yeah, but I mean, there's also that battle royale with the wizards. I forget what it's called.
Look, I'm not making fun of him per se. I'm just envisioning a snake biting someone, injecting venom, and then in about 5 seconds you're gonna blow up.
No, he takes out a lighter and then throws it at him.
Combustible doesn't mean that it will explode at a certain amount of time. That's literally what
combustible means.
That's what the word means.
Isn't it supposed to be where... Okay, maybe flammable then.
Combustible means it will explode. It will combust.
Right, combust into flames.
Okay.
Meanwhile, in Dilettante's world, Bantam just stays in his room and plays with the kobolds and creates mock uprisings to annoy the living crap out of Dilettante at every possible opportunity.
Oh, Dilettante loves guerrilla warfare, does he? Let's launch a revolt.
Yep.
But just a fake one. A little fake one.
Dilettante had a stressful day. He comes back, flops onto his bed, and all of a sudden, bam, nets and...
Kobold uprising.
Yep, kobold uprising.
It's started to become to a weekly basis at this point. I'm running out of servants.
The first thing we do is we capture the chicken farm, and so we can starve out our enemy.
Which has now been put under heavy guard.
I bribed all the guards.
Can't do that.
Dilettante, is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay. Alright, so, here we go. Sits up in chair. Or sits up on rock. Wow. We need to figure out where we're holding these conversations in world. Alright, so, as far as my world, so I have several. It's a curse. One of them was made specifically for D&D, so it's fairly generic. In that one, the dragons are the most powerful species. There are others that are kind of on par. Sirens, vampire, bat things. I forget what I called those. Whatever. All the dragons can... they're like technologically advanced in the sense that they can use magic and science to create other species, and they are considered to own that species. That was just my in-world explanation for how there's goblins and orcs and humans, dwarves, elves, so on and so forth, so that people can just play what they want to play. I also have a couple other small ones I've been developing in the back of my head because I do want to try writing a book at some point. I will actually be doing the writing challenge come November, and I'm trying to get these two to do it with me.
Oh, I'm doing it right with you. This is the perfect excuse for me to start writing Dilettante Journal.
Yep.
Great.
So there's a couple
pressure.
really small ones. Yeah, a couple small ones. One small one that I'm working on. Dragons have lived in hiding and have been at war with a small subset of humans that call themselves mages or magi or something. I'm thinking about still trying to figure out their actual name. The dragons were hunted for their magic because if you consume dragon blood or flesh or make some sort of magical alchemical concoction out of horns and bones, whatever old witch remedies there would be, then you are able to use magic, and people want that for themselves. In that story, a human and a dragon end up becoming friends, and together they'll hopefully stop this war between the species, basically. But yeah. My main world, I created back in high school, wrote a really small bit of short stories in it, and then it's been sitting on the back burner for like 20 years, and I keep changing stuff as I matured, and I would read books and be like, hey, that's a good idea, I want that. So it's currently in a state of flux, but in general, the general idea, which probably isn't going to change much, in actual like a high fantasy fashion creation story, you got the gods, they created the world, and then they filled it with their children. These children were called the Celastarum. They got to live on the planet first, and just the whole point of mortal life is to experience and grow and all that. So their physical bodies end up becoming the dragons. Then when the dragons, as a race, grew up, they created life of their own. That's how you get all the other minor races. Most of them are beastmen, just because I have a weak spot for beastmen, but there's still like humans and stuff in there as well. At some point, the lesser races revolted against the dragons. Most of them still considered them to be their own deities because they created them, but a lot of them would revolt because they wanted freedom, agency, and power. And so the dragon / Celastarum left the world. It's now in the hands of the lesser races. There are a few dragons left behind, but these ones are no longer considered divine, just through millennia of, I guess, breeding, crossbreeding, or whatever. But yeah, that one's still kind of just up in the air. For the most part, the main characters were going to be bipedal dragons. Bipedal dragons? I don't know how to say that word. But after reading Wings of Fire, I'm like, what if they're just quadrupeds? Because that just seems really interesting now. I like odd body shapes like that.
Well, consider a quadruped dragon an odd body shape. That's a classic.
No, but when you try to write a traditional fantasy story, swords and sorcery style, four-legged with no real arms gets a little wonky for the tropes and all that. At least it used to.
Yeah. So for our last question, easy, quick one. The last question is, are Dragon Riders snacks for later? For context, there's apparently someone on r/Wormworks that has that as their flair.
Yeah, I talk with him sometimes too.
Dragon Riders are not snacks for later.
So people are snacks.
Yes.
Dragon Riders are special and they have befriended a dragon, and so they usually get exempt.
There you go. Yeah, because I don't think you'd have any Dragon Riders if they realized that, like, at the drop of a hat, they'd get eaten.
Sorry, but I'm under the impression that any dragon that allows him to be ruled by a lesser, weaker creature like a man is sad.
Says the fireless, flightless dragon.
I can fly, it's just a very long glide, okay?
Dilettante, should I not tell people that I ride you sometimes?
Yeah, edit that out, Ray. Don't let people know.
Okay. Ray, wink. Make sure you edit that out. Wink.
Wink. Got it. Wink.
All right.
So, general consensus, no. Dragon Riders are usually friends and so exempt, but people themselves can be snacks, yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
But I guess I'm the minority here.
Well, that's because you don't agree in Dragon Riders at all.
I really don't. Let them be free.
Let the people be free?
No, the dragons.
Let the dragons be free.
Okay, all right. Now when you talk about... So, dragon riders don't necessarily mean that human is in charge. There are several instances in literary works where the dragons are in charge and the rider is like an employee or a servant or something of theirs.
Or literally just someone to literally watch the dragons back.
That's usually the excuse given, that they can... It's an extra set of eyes, and usually you can mount stuff up on there, like ranged weaponry. This is usually in universes where dragons can't handle things with their front claws. And so, yes, dragons are superior, and we don't really want to let things ride on us, but this other dragon who does let the human with the poison-tipped crossbow bolts ride on his back is going to win every fight he gets into. So it kind of becomes norm that, yeah, you do start going into war with dragon riders on you.
I mean, just look at Warhammer. In Warhammer, there's actually a lot of dragons with like lizard men riding them or something, or just in general, a dragon with a rider that knows magic. And so while the dragon is on the ground tearing armies apart, the rider's on top casting buffing spells, healing spells, or just destruction spells.
So, Dilettante, if the rider is a tool rather than an owner, are you okay with it then?
It's an equipment slot.
All right, I'll be a little more lenient if that's the case. But
Okay.
Most of the time, though, when I do read about dragons being used as mounts, it's usually the former, where it's not a very good situation for the dragons.
No, most of the time it is, but that's old-fashioned writing. We're in a new age now. But yeah, most old Dragon Rider stories, the dragon was just a tool, a paraphernalia, an aside that half the time didn't even bother getting a name. But that is slowly changing, and gods damn it, slams fist on table, but doesn't want to shatter because it's glass. We will make a change. Alright. So, thank you for sending us those questions. I love having stuff to talk about. I love getting feedback from you guys. It makes me feel really special.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tristanix.
We will hand out our contact information at the end of the episode. I will also start putting it in written form on the show notes when I upload, though I'm unsure if every podcast playing service shows that.
Yeah, they
I know
do.
the one that I use doesn't.
Yeah,
Maybe I just haven't found where it displays it. So but I'll start putting it there, and hopefully it shows up on whatever you use to listen. Alright, so this week we are doing Dragon Avenger, which is the second book in the Age of Fire series by E.E. Knight. We don't really need to talk about the writing style, the narration, all of that, because we handled that last episode when we did the first book. So I think we're ready to do our break and then go right into the discussion.
yeah.
Yeah, that works.
Alright, we'll see you guys in a little bit.
And welcome back, listeners.
Snacks?
Snacks?
Snacks for later.
Actually, it's getting close to breakfast time.
Yeah, you brought this on yourselves with that question. My little hors d'oeuvres.
So now let's get into the nitty-gritty of this book, because there's two things I want to actually ask you guys.
Let's
One-
open with the bones to pick.
Okay, first off, I find that it's very weird that this author would go upon details of how succulent eyeballs are in the meal. And
Dude,
then
I love that. Okay, I love that.
No,
But will refuse to use ass in a song.
Well, I don't remember that song.
It was when they, her and Rainfall, I think, were marching with the donkey, and the donkey asked, or Rainfall, I think, asked to hear her sing. So she started singing about the donkey, and then when she got to ask, she stopped. Was like, "Ask me no other questions."
Okay, I remember that part. I don't remember her dodging ass, but whatevs.
It was ask in the place of ass.
Okay, so there's a difference between the author being willing to use words and a character being willing to use words.
That
You
is
understand
true.
that, right? Just like an author has to make sure that they have perfect grammatical structure, that they use words properly based on their definition and context, but you can have a character fuck that up all the time.
I thought you were going to say, talking about how succulent eyeballs are, and then, my little joke from the last episode, which I had with Ray, which is children's book. Again, this is a kid's book by the author's own admission, this is
No, not kids like grade schoolers. He just wanted for a younger audience. This might be geared towards high schoolers.
Yeah, he said 13 to 14-year-olds were reading the book, which made him uncomfortable. So he wanted to make a book that was for friendlier for younger than that. And so he, and again, in the first book, just graphic violence throughout the entire book. Mass graves, raping and murdering and tearing heads off and licking blood off of everything. And it's like, I just don't understand what he thinks.
That's only as graphic as your imagination is.
I guess that's true.
And the words that paint the picture in your head.
Yeah.
Can't put it all on the person's imagination.
Yeah, like there's also a difference between mentioning things offhandedly and then spending 4 paragraphs describing the ichor and the texture and all that.
That's true.
But yeah, I love the fact that eyeballs are delicacy. To veer off a little bit, the other dragon book I'm reading for scouting purposes, where humans are eaten, there's a lot of description that goes into that. And like I already pitched to you the mental image of a dragon biting off someone's head, then laying on their back and just guzzling the blood like a little juice box. And it's like, I love that, okay? I am into all the blood and gore of dragons eating things.
So uncivilized. Like, come on, just...
Yeah. You just sit at a table with your giant oversized knife and fork just cutting into something all proper, like... It's like, man, get back to your roots, come on.
It's called manners.
Oh yeah, the manners are you don't drink the blood in front of other people. That comes up in the book.
That's oddly specific, but okay.
All right, let me know when it's my turn, because I only have one gripe.
Well, Dillaton has a second bone.
Okay, when the author was describing the troll, what picture did you have in your mind for that?
Dude, I have no idea. I thought I did, but as the description kept going and going and going, I'm like, I don't even know anymore.
Exactly. I pictured like some weird gorilla body and a long snake neck with one eye, and I don't know what the hell the organs they were describing.
No, at this point, I'm pretty sure their version of trolls is borderline a gelatinous ooze that just takes whatever shape it needs.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so hard to kill.
Yeah, I just tried to imagine a troll that I like, which is the trolls from Skyrim.
Yeah. Remember back in the day when even high-level chapter books would have a picture at the beginning of every chapter?
Yeah, like a little thumbnail, like it would say chapter 6, and then there'd be
and
like
usually
a picture.
It was important, and it was important to what was talked about in that chapter. So at that chapter, we would get a little doodle of the troll.
Yeah.
Should bring that back.
Or this is a huge ask. If there are any novelists out there who want to create the next 20-book epic, once the fans inevitably make a wiki page for your book, hire an artist to just doodle some
Commission
stuff
official art.
to make some official art, because there are so many things that I looked up in the wiki and I'm like, man, I'd really love to see. Again, this comes from me being a purely visual media person. I really wanted to see,
But no, I think it's supposed to be something like really small lower body, really oversized upper body, so it uses its front limbs as legs until it starts grabbing and beating things, but it does have a very long snake neck with a head at the end. But its eyes aren't on its head because that's too sensitive.
Oh my
can't
god!
The eyes are on it? It wasn't on its head?
I can't remember. I would have to go back to the introduction to the troll and read it again. But
I remember it was like, it had like a singular eye, like a cyclops on its head.
No, I remember there was a different stalk for the sensory organs and another one that had the mouth for the biting attacks and stuff, because it wanted to keep its sensitive organs away from the long thing that was reaching out to grab things. I don't know.
Yeah, it just sounds like a
abomination. I distinctly remember just zoning out for that entire description and just going, Skyrim troll, got it.
Okay, those were my only two main gripes, was whatever the hell that troll was and eyeballs.
Delicious eyeballs.
So
now,
my biggest gripe, and I ran this by Ray because I wanted to get my words making sense. I liked this. I started to like this book a lot more than the first one. Wistala's adventure felt more like an adventure. It felt like a lot more exploring and seeing the world.
Yeah, Elrond's definitely was more of a pilgrimage than an adventure.
Yeah, and but so the the comparison that I made was that eventually I actually just stopped caring about Auron or anything that happened to him about halfway through the book. And what I mean by that is that if anyone has played the the early 2000s Tomb Raider remake, the one where they retcon, Lara Croft getting lost on her own and she's never killed anyone before. After she kills her first person, she's like absolutely shocked and she gets over that pretty quick, but there are plenty of moments in the game where she gets grievously injured. Like, to the point where you, playing the game, are like, oh my god, how is she going to survive this? And then, like, 5 minutes later, she just walks it off. And you're like, oh. And then the second time it happens, you're like, oh my god, how is she going to survive? Oh, she just walks it off. And
what having a hit point bar does to a motherfucker.
Yeah, and that's what I felt like Auron. It's like every horrible, awful thing that happened to Auron, like even when the book was like, and he limped, was limping, or he couldn't do this or couldn't do that. It was like the next chapter, it was like, oh, and then a month passes and he's fine. And it's like,
yeah. To be fair, they did have chapters where like 10 years passed in between them.
It's like, but his tail regrowing kind of annoyed me.
I mean, it took like 30 years.
It doesn't matter. The fact that it regrew at all, like, no. But it eventually I realized that because it's, the main character and every horrible thing that happens to him is just going to be hand waved away in a chapter or two. So I didn't really feel any emotional impact by anything that was happening to him.
Speaking of not having any emotional impact, after the first book, with how often all of Auron's companions died very gruesome deaths, I knew in going in this one, any friend Istala made would probably suffer the same fate, and I was right about 90% of the time.
Yeah.
So,
I knew she only lost 2 friends?
4.
Avalanche, Dog.
I guess if you count Avalanche, he was kind of haughty and like she barely knew him before he died.
I don't care.
I mean, Istala is still pretty emotional, want to give a proper burial.
Yeah, I guess. Fair.
And
okay.
Raindance dad.
Stog definitely, and Rainfall.
And is it her dad?
Okay. The dad's kind of a given, though.
Yeah, that whole first part kind of felt like
putting off the inevitable.
Well, I remember when we were listening to it together, I kept turning to Ray going, oh my god, is her dad going to make it? Oh my god, he's going to make it.
And I do my best to just look at him, no emotion, and then go back to doing what I'm doing.
Which is all I need to know, that it's not going to end well. Right?
No, because I'll do that even if he would survive, to make sure you don't start to notice a pattern with me.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
But man, I knew that dad wasn't going to make it to begin with. I mean, he was already established dead in the first book.
Well, no. Auron thought he was
never
dead.
Officially.
He was never officially dead in the first book. Auron saw him flying away and was like, and then heard a really loud roar and assumed, oh my god, my dad's dead.
Yeah, it was a case of never seen the body.
But didn't when Auron met the Dragon Champion in the first book, he boasted about killing the bronze?
Yeah, but again, boast. He also boasted about killing Wastala.
No, I think he boasted about killing Jazara.
I'd have to look at the wording, but I'm pretty sure it was Wastala. At the very least, Auron took it to mean Wastala.
Oh. But yeah, you gotta think in movie and TV show terms. If you don't see a body and the body's not being put into a grave, then they're not dead.
And depending on the genre of book, even then, doesn't mean they're dead.
It's still a very high chance they're going to be dead.
Yeah,
they need to leave threads uncut so that they can revive them if needed.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine her dad did die in Auron's book, and then he went to go rewrite the second one. You're gonna take that whole chunk of book out of Wastala. Not really a gripe, but again, like graphic. There was one moment in this book that made me deeply uncomfortable, and it was when Wastala went back to the cave. This is the spoiler part, right?
Yes,
okay,
we're in the spoiler territory.
When Wastala went back to the cave and saw that her mother had been skinned, head, legs, tail chopped off, wings chopped, like that was disgusting to me. And
it was definitely very sad.
It was very sad, but it was also like a level of graphic that I wasn't ready for, and it made me sick.
Just wait for the film adaptation. That entire scene will get cut out.
No, it'll do that thing where the camera is looking directly at Wastala, like,
and you can see just a vague silhouette, but it's so blurry you can't tell, and she just gasps
in horror and runs. Yeah,
and then runs to go vomit.
Yeah.
Because she vomited in the book, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, she coughed up some bile because she hadn't had her fire yet.
Yep.
And that was when the copper showed up.
Yeah.
And he's like, I didn't
Dilettante, how do you feel about the copper?
I still kind of hate him.
Oh, you know what? I don't.
I don't
Well,
either,
because
but
you know what's
I
coming.
have... No, I know what's coming. I don't because I have future knowledge, but at this point...
I looked up his wiki page because I wanted to...
How dare you?
I told you this in the car. I wanted to know what his name was. And the little blurb about just the amount of bullshit. Yeah.
his name is the Copper.
The
Duh.
Copper.
Yeah. He comes up, what is my name? And she's like, get out of here before I have and kill you.
Yeah. That's really sad to not even
Yeah,
know your own name.
Dude, oh my god. The Copper gets such a rough rap, it's not even fair.
He did kind of kill his own family, though.
No, you didn't.
Until I read the next book, that's my opinion about him.
The next book is going to be so great. This is why I wanted to do the 3 books in one go, because the next book is the best one. And oh my god, it's going to be so great to just see you guys do it.
Mm-hmm.
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 Mm-hmm. Alright, those are you guys' only real big bones to pick?
Yeah.
Okay. Everything else pretty much smooth sailing, yeah?
No, hold on. I know what you're saying at, and yes, I do have a very... That ending blue balled the fuck out of me. You spend the entire book talking about vengeance, avenging your father's death and your family's death, and at the very end, you just let the dragon blade walk away.
You're not a forgiving dragon, are you?
Actually, no, I'm not. But that's not the point. This whole book has been just this, or these past 2 books have just been this violent path of destruction. And at the end, to cop out at the one goal that you set out to actually kill, it just doesn't. I understand the author trying to subvert expectations, but it just feels like a complete 180 to what they were trying to establish. It didn't satisfy anything for me.
Well, I mean, she says at the end that, yeah, she could kill him and the family and kind of wanted to, but then when does it end? Then some living relative comes and just the whole thing perpetuates forever.
Rule number 1, you leave no relatives.
What did I say? And the bloodline. She still got vengeance, though. She killed the Wheel of Fire, who were the actual, I guess, from her point of view, the actual villains.
Did she? Because then the king... I'll admit that last part was kind of a blur to me.
So she personally killed Gobold, Fangbreaker, the Dwarf King, whatever. The barbarians are ransacking the Wheel of Fire.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, sure, she didn't wipe out every single dwarf, but their whole, not civilization, their faction is completely destroyed.
Who's the king that put a bounty on her head towards the end then?
That was, what's his name? Hanar? Hammar? Can never remember his name.
Oh, him. Okay.
The guy who basically was like, I'm king now, yay!
Yeah, what's his actual title? Thane.
Thane, right.
I was thinking Jarl, but no, it's Thane. What do you guys think of Ragrist, since I kind of based one of my D&D characters off him?
Did you?
Yeah, the circus master when you guys went to Ellsworld.
I liked him.
Yeah, it was 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10?
I don't like circus things.
You don't like circus?
Do not like the circus.
I'll admit the fortune-telling arc was a little wonky. Like, almost cringe, but like I understood that she had to do it for her plan to work and all that. But it's just so much overacting, it's like, ugh.
Yeah, it really was.
Like, the one part where when she's telling Gobold's fortune the first time, he's like, well, the story is worth some coin, but the bit at the end was a bit much. I'm like, yeah, it definitely was. I want to talk to you guys about the Sada Veil, because it's our first glimpse into dragon society, rather than them just living in caves and being kind of almost feral, with always attacking each other, whatever. Granted, this was a very small group. I think it was just one family unit, but still, vaguely civilized, you know? They had their building, their massive halls, they had servants and all that. It was culture.
Yeah, but that culture's pretty much shunned down upon by most dragons, though, isn't it?
No, that most dragons don't know it exists. It's so far up in the north.
But I'm not saying it exists, but what about the story of the dragon who took out ladies before, and the humans basically, and they ruled over a whole bunch of...
that was Silverhigh.
Yeah, Silverhigh. That's always told as an example of what not to do as a dragon.
Yeah, it's told to basically you get too comfortable. It's the whole concept of like I hear this thing going on Twitter and Reddit all the time, but good times make weak men make hard times make strong men. That whole cycle, right? So it's their version of that, because with how comfortable and lax the dragons got is what allowed the hominids to rise up in the first place, which is why a lot of them nowadays, at least Aurel did, was like against such comforts because it was going to just cause history to repeat. But again, we only have a small handful of dragons' perspective on the whole ordeal. We'll be getting more in the next book, but like right now, you really just have the Sattervale and then Auron's family, and that's it. Besides like one or two random dragons that popped up and died at various points. Parrot one from the island, Numwalk himself, the really stupid one that tried to seduce Wistala when she was flying.
Where she just kind of brushes him off like, "Oh, what an annoyance!
What a gross male this is."
And he's like, "Hey, baby, you want some fuck?"
Basically. Okay, but Darcy though, right? Darcy. Do you remember who Darcy is?
Not really.
I remember him. So the one with the cough under the two women in the fancy place. Yes, I know of him.
Yeah, the handsome guy that was mining when she arrived at the Sattervale.
Kind of felt bad for him.
I say handsome because he's got stripes, and I am very weak for stripes.
Yeah, I know. I keep trying to find you painting some on mine when I'm trying to sleep.
Yep.
And that's why he loves Tigrex so much.
Tigrex is an okay boy, but Basilgeist is still the best boy.
Basilgeist is the best boy, but you can't cuddle him. He'll explode.
Cuddle him gently.
You just gotta fondle the nubs until they fall off.
You can't say that.
Why? It's Basilgeist. Everyone knows who the B-52 is.
So out of all her interactions, mine's going to be the Sattervale, but out of all her interactions, kind of like how Auron went from place to place and had interaction with Blackheart, interaction with the Diadem and Jer, then Numwalk and the Blight, whatever. Out of all of Wistala's interactions, which one was your favorite?
I would say my favorite were the ones with her father.
Yeah.
Getting a little bit of
Dragon Father or Elf Father?
Dragon Father. Getting a little bit of closure with him was like really important to me. Like, it sucks that Auron didn't get that, but the fact that her father was still able to give her some advice and teach her stuff, to help her survive, telling her about the fact that her ability to innovate and improvise was one of her greatest strengths. And, the fact that she essentially, like if you imagine this in an RPG video game perspective, she actually had equipment slots, whereas Auron just had a tail slot, She actually had multiple
She learned how to adapt.
Yeah, the harnesses and the bags and, all that fun stuff. She had multiple equipment slots. She was playing on easy mode. That's a joke. That's a joke.
I get the joke. I was trying to think if Auron would be hard mode or normal mode. I was trying to think of it.
I started a joke that I don't think any of you would understand, and I don't feel like explaining, but it was basically from Resident Evil. If you played as Jill Valentine, you started off with a whole bunch of shit, and it was basically easy. But if you started as Chris, it was the hard game, where you didn't even have a gun to start with. You had to use a knife. And
is that the super old one where it's two police officers?
Yeah, the very first Resident Evil. Playing as Jill, you got extra help in cutscenes from Barry. You got a grenade launcher and a bunch of fucking guns throughout the story, whereas Chris got nothing.
Didn't you have to play both of them?
No.
To get like some end? I don't know. Okay, so I've never played it. I don't like Resident Evil. It's just not my genre. But the kindly people who would drag and sit me when I was freshly hatched, they had kids that played it, and so I would watch it, and I was just like, "What the heck is this?" Because it was like actually terrifying.
Yeah, no.
I was super young, and all I remember a few point, like if anything touched you, the screen goes black except for you and the enemy's model, and then you get a kill animation.
Yep.
And then there was a at one point you go through a door, and there's a bunch of undead like zombie walking towards you. But the camera angle means you can't see them, so you're kind of shooting into
fixed perspective.
You're shooting into some blind spot because you can just hear the noises, and it was like,
there were a lot of moments where you'd round a corner and the camera would suddenly switch and you just walked right into the arms of a zombie.
Yeah.
Now,
I also remember, I don't know the story. I'm pretty sure it's just, hey, here's an abandoned house. Oh no, there's zombies, and oh god, there's a demon cult in the basement or whatever, right? But I remember he was playing the girl, and he went down a ladder, and it started to get really creepy. Like, a lot of the background was just black, and you could barely see whatever. And he found the boy collapsed and dying because he's been shot or stabbed or something. And I never know what happened after that, because that's when Dragon Parents came and took me home.
I don't know which game you're talking about because every game has ladders in darkness. So
it was the game where they were. It's two police officers. It came on 2 CDs because like PS1.
Oh, then that would be Resident
Evil. CD1 was boy, CD2 was girl, and they were in some large building. I'm pretty sure it was a mansion, but God knows the building it was.
It was the main police precinct from. So you're thinking of Resident Evil 2, where you play as Leon as the guy, and the girl was Claire, I think, and yeah. So my own controversial opinion on Resident Evil is that the first 3 were amazing. Resident Evil 4 fucking sucked. I do not like over the shoulder fucking third person fighting, homeless people that run at you with axes. Stupid. And every Resident Evil after that has been garbage.
Right. Anyway, this isn't a review about Resident Evil. This is a podcast about dragons. Now make a Resident Evil with dragons, and then we'll talk.
Oh hell! Well, they did. It's called Dino Crisis.
Hell no! If Resident Evil touched dragons, they'd be the most gruesome, deformed, blood pus filled monstrosities. I would never want to do that.
If Resident, I guess disclaimer to the listeners: if Resident Evil actually did something with dragons, it probably wouldn't make onto the show because they would be
gross,
nameless, mindless enemies. I don't care how gross they are. We could have a book or a movie or whatever about a Draco Lich, so this undead dragon that looks like freaking Val Hazaz or whatever his name is, Monster Hunter. Yeah, Val Hazak. Grossest thing out there, right? But if the story was about him and he had dialogue and he had plans, emotions, and thoughts, then we would do it. But the thing is, if Resident Evil did it, it would be a nameless, mindless enemy that you just shoot 20,000 times, and then the HP sponge finally gives in. So it probably wouldn't make it onto the show.
Just as a joke for my solo episode someday, I just want to talk about why Kaiser was best boy and fuck all the other dragons.
Giganox is better. But I'm debating how we're going to do Dragon's Dogma eventually, because he's in there for 5% of the game. But he himself is a big deal.
We don't need to play the game. We just need to go on YouTube and search for all the cutscenes.
Yeah,
because he shows up
and wiki dive to see if there's any lore that they gave outside of the game at some point or something.
Yeah, our podcast isn't about the dragons themselves, but the world they're in. So Dragon's Dogma does have a lot of material in that regards.
Does it though? Because when I tried playing Dragon's Dogma, I didn't get really any lore, but maybe you have to really search for it like in Dark Souls.
I mean, yeah.
Maybe I didn't get much lore either because I was mostly just hack and slash in the side quests.
Then you got to the Hydra and you stopped playing.
Yeah.
I got to the Hydra and I stopped playing because I couldn't beat it. And I was pissed.
Yeah, I couldn't beat it either because freaking allies just could not save you.
Yeah, if you got eaten, it was over. The allies would do nothing. And then if your allies all got eaten and you were left alone, it was like, well, I guess I'm fucked. So it was like you needed to have a meta build to just eliminate the fucking Hydra within 10 seconds or you lose.
Anyway, back on topic, guys.
Yeah.
What were we talking about before?
Last we talked about was how I got blue balled by the ending of him not getting...
No, and then I brought up the stat of Vale, and then, so Bantam said he liked the interaction with Father, or Val, the most. What about you, Dilatan?
Same thing. And Rainfall. They're probably 50-50 in my book.
Elffather was pretty good to you?
I thought it was great.
I liked Rainfall. Raya! Raya!
No.
Dude, the first time I read the book, I started saying that.
No. I'm sorry, but I don't care how sympathetic and wonderful and kind to Astala any of those characters were. They were not dragons. They were annoying.
You didn't even like Yaritab.
Oh, I liked Yaritab because she's a fucking cat. She's not an elf, dwarf, or human. I loved Yaritab. Oh my god. I also I pointed out to Ray. I loved the fact that Auron in his story made friends with wolves. So a guy. And a guy dragon and a bunch of dogs, and then with Stala, a girl dragon and a cat, and it's like, look at that.
Place your bets now. What is the third dragon gonna make friends with?
Bats.
Dilettante, what's your guess?
Oddly specific.
That's the only thing
I'm trying to think what we haven't done yet, because we've already done
maybe birds.
I'm thinking.
we've already done
I'm
birds.
talking about animal companion specifically. Like we had wolves, then we had cats. So what's the next animal companion?
Birds.
You know what? I'm gonna go with fish.
Okay, so one for fish and one for birds.
Yeah.
You change from bats to birds. Okay.
Well, because it's like the next most common pet, I guess. Or no, rats. Rats. That's my answer. Like rodents.
Okay. So final answer, rodents.
You know what? I'm just gonna play the safe bet. I'm gonna play half the field, and I'm just gonna say any sort of vermin. So bats, rats.
I think that's a bit too broad to say any vermin, and also becomes a little contextual because I consider a lot more things vermin than other people
Yeah.
do.
All right. Fine. Then I'm gonna just two things: bats or rats.
Bats or
I
rats?
imagine he stays in the caves for a while.
The plague bearers, bats and rats. Yep. Okay. Bets are in. We'll see who wins in 2 weeks. But yeah, no one liked the circus, so that's sad. I enjoyed the circus, but I enjoyed the Satterville more, even though it's like a chapter. It's just, when I first read the book, I was starving for some dragon on dragon relations because I like seeing how different worlds handle the society and the culture, whatever. So the little bit of the Satterville was enough to keep me going. But I guess because of how small it was, if I had to pick another one, I definitely did enjoy her time at Mossbell.
Oh yeah.
Just how friendly the innkeeper gets. Like, oh, I'm friends with a dragon, and she touched the sign herself. This is a joyous day, or whatever the freaking dialogue was. The way she interacted with the people, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that more than Auron's viewpoints of stay the fuck away. Everything just ends in sadness. I'm gonna go live in the frozen north by myself.
In his defense, everything did end in sadness.
It really did. I can see how he came to his opinions, and I can see how she comes to hers, where she's of the opinion, the mindset where dragons and hominids can learn to work and live together. And it's because she had an adopted father who was kind to her, who had a little village of tenants who were all nice and respected her. She traveled with her circus and had mostly nothing but a good time doing that. The only real problem she had was the opening where she's being hunted with Auron, and then some little antagonistic meetings with the Dragonblade himself, because he's just like, I hate dragons, boo. She wonders at the end how that all started. Like, did one of my grandparents kill one of yours or something? And I'm really wondering, what caused him to be all going on a crusade against dragons in the first place?
Hey, probably the same Bowen situation. Got wronged by a dragon, or some deal went bad, so he went on a vengeful killing spree.
Yeah, but I wonder what it was. It definitely had to be something terrible, because you don't become that vehemently against something just because you think it's monstrous or whatever.
I know it's gonna be cliche, but I'm gonna put my money down on a Batman scenario. His parents were eaten by a dragon.
I'm trying to think if I'm missing any interactions.
How about the little sparrow at the beginning?
Sparrow? Oh. Nest Raider.
Ugh.
I thought that was adorable.
There's a German word for it where you're embarrassed for someone else, like someone who doesn't feel the embarrassment themselves, and that hit me. Like hearing what sounds like a mid-40s-year-old man going Nest Raider. I'm like, ugh, gross.
Was it worse than the wolves howling?
Yes. The wolves howling was funny. It wasn't. It was a little cringy, but it was more funny. But the bird speech was ugh.
I don't know. I kind of cringed more at the howling than I did for the bird. It just took me so. The problem with it just caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting him to actually howl like that.
Both were pretty good. I enjoy both. Gonna give props to the narrator for being willing to do that, because it was great. So as we got a little bit more puzzle pieces of the world through Restala's point of view, you guys still on board with this particular world, I guess, or is it time to launch the Exterminatus?
Exterminatus, definitely. Save the dragons, Exterminatus the planet.
You don't like it?
No.
Why? What's wrong?
It's too many people.
Oh, that's going to be your argument about everything,
but
though.
It's true, though, because like, someone needs to find that sweet spot where there can exist humans and elves and dwarves and all that, but they're not constantly fucking fighting or constantly doing shifty, underhanded shit to each other. It's really aggravating when it's just, it's fun in a video game when you're playing Warhammer and everyone's at war at all times. Sure, that's fun. But it's not fun in a book when, a character can't go wherever they want because they'll get attacked by this, that, or the other faction. It's like, can we, which is why if I had my own little fantasy world I could retreat to, it would be someplace where there isn't any conflict. Everyone's relatively comfortable and safe. And it's like, I just don't enjoy constant conflict. And it's like, the problem with these types of races, humans, elves, men, whatever, in fantasy is they're always looking to expand. They're always looking to kill. They're always looking to deal a heavy blow to someone else so that they can get something. It's like, why can't the dwarves just stick to the mountains and mine and trade with the other?
The dwarves do. Well, I think the only faction that wants to expand in this particular world is the humans.
Humans
No. There is a world that I found. It's a game on Steam called Distant Kingdoms. So I'll be brief. The basic plot is that the four races, the elves, the dwarves, the humans, and the orcs, all fought to basically near extinction and destroyed their old world. So the gods are like, you know what? Fuck it. Here's a new one. Don't screw this up. So now they're all trying to work together to rebuild their societies. And since there's so few of them, they're trying to live out in this new mythical world with all new creatures. And it's really good. Oh, it's a city builder, so I don't know if you guys would like it.
I enjoy city builders, but I have to be in the mood for them.
I enjoy city builders if I can make a city look pretty and not focus so much on, like, the whole reason I don't like Anno is because in order for you to produce this one thing, you need to produce 1, then 3, then 2, then 4, then 1, and then you get your item, and it's like, come on.
So I enjoy Anno, but I definitely agree that production chain style city builders are a little tiresome. It's like, I don't play Banished because of that. I don't want to have to worry about these production chains. My favorite city builder to date is Black and White 2. I never played the first one. People say it's better, but I got in at Black and White 2. And I enjoyed that because there were no production chains. It was, you build these buildings and they add an impressiveness score to your city. And if it gets high enough, then you'll peacefully convert the enemy cities. So there was no real hidden mechanics. It's just, I'm going to plop a temple over here because the high ground gives a bonus, and I'm going to put all my houses over here. There was a penalty for building too many of the same type of building, so I had to build some slums just because I was starting to get negative points on normal housing. But yeah. It's kind of weird. Like, Bantam, you said that you enjoyed Wasala more than Aron, but then you're so upset at all the fighting.
So I actually very specifically said I liked the start of Wastala's book more.
Oh, the start.
But then when she got in with, like, all the people and talking and politicking and annoying.
It's so weird. You don't like the politicking, which is why you hated Tooth and Claw so much, and you're complaining about it now, but then at the same time you're like, but I hate how everybody's always fighting with each other. It's like, what do you want?
I want a book where it's a character who's learning to live on his own in the wild and, experiencing things and learning and growing without being constantly hunted and attacked by other intelligent things. And then a big bad shows up and he shows up to help and everyone lives happily ever after. Does it make for a good story? No. But I don't care because I don't like constant fighting and I don't like constant talking. I believe books need to have large chunks.
It's one or the other.
No, it's not. Books can have large chunks of introspection and characters wandering around by themselves.
Oh, so you want a slice of life
yes.
book? Okay, slice of life as good as anime. I don't know how it would work as a book. But I do agree. There are several books I've read where it's like, I feel like this would hit harder if we had like 2 or 3 chapters of slice of life at the beginning, so I could get established in what's considered normal. Because then this great upset here would probably have hit harder.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I can agree a little bit, but I don't think a whole book of that would work.
Not a whole book, but there needs to be some break, because
there needs to be more of it.
With Aron's book, if I were to break it into 3 chunks, it was conflict, running away, conflict. If I were to break Wastala's book into 3, it was adventure, conflict, politics. It's like, give me a big chunk of, like, a character just, like, learning the landscape and creating a home. Like, that's the other thing. It's like they just sleeping out in the middle of nowhere, like, wherever they happen to be when they're tired. And it's like, what about Wistala deciding, or what Auron deciding, you know what, fuck this place, I'm gonna, make my own cave. And
that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, but then he left it immediately.
But yeah. All right, so come November, you're going to be challenged with writing a slice of life dragon novel.
Fine.
Novella.
Fine.
That's okay. Good. Glad we agree.
Fine.
But yeah, I had a retort for some of the slice of life stuff, but then I lost it when you continued ranting.
My retort is that most of the small bits in between of her hunting and learning the lands would also count as what you're looking for, right?
Sorry, what?
The small bits of her hunting and learning the lands.
Yeah, like,
would that account?
Would
that amount as a slice of life?
Small bits. Like, all right.
So the part when she left after Rainfall died to head to try to find dragons and found the Salt of
No.
Is that kind of what you like?
More importantly is, like, when she went to go get the coins for her dad and then discovered the Underden and stuff. And
so the side quests.
The side quests. Yeah, more side quests.
Okay. Side quests do help build the world. I'll give you that.
Auron's felt like someone.
Oh, whoa.
Auron's felt like someone blitzing the main story.
Here's an epiphany. At the beginning, we were talking about what we consider to be intelligent. The rats technically could talk and be reasoned with. Are they intelligent in this
I think
world?
all animals can be communicated with by dragons. I mean, they constantly talk about bird speech being rudimentary, but they can talk. The wolves talk, the cats talk, the rats talk.
Yeah, but the thing is, by my own definition, I think that means the rats in this world are intelligent because they could be communicated with in some way.
Only by the dragon.
They were reasoned with. Doesn't matter. All that matters to me is that it's in some way. The same reason why I said Dragon Riders of Pern counts, because even though they can only talk to one person, they still can talk.
Yeah.
So, that's a little bit of an eye-opener to me. I may need to shift my own definition slightly, or just accept that all animal life on this particular world is considered intelligent.
Let's go with my logic. Tools only. Simplifies everything.
Tools is so weird. There are plenty of instances of hyper-intelligent dragons just not using tools. Like, to go back to D&D, a lot of dragons have intelligence scores far higher than any human player or any player character will ever get, but they don't use tools. They still live in caves.
Okay, counter-argument. Would you consider magic a tool?
Yes.
Yeah.
And would higher intelligence mean higher magic? Because they would use a lot of spells.
It depends.
During combat.
I think most of the spell casting stats for dragons in D&D is charisma. But whatever, that's getting into some nuances that don't matter right now. I remember what I was going to talk about when you were ranting about Slice of Life, whatever. Because I will admit that this book did it a little bit, but there's another book that did it much worse. Like, more egregiously. The Temeraire series. It's a 9-book series, so have fun looking forward to that, you guys.
Yay!
Honestly, when we get to that, we'll probably stop at book 2, unless we just have to continue it, because book 1 and book 2 are the only real important ones for the sake of building the world. Though I will eventually make a case for the rest of them. But anyway, going to talk about Temeraire a little bit because it did it much worse. But all 9 of the books felt like problem. And that's because the author would just gloss over anything that worked out remotely well. It's like, if we're going to go do this battle and we're going to have a hard time winning or possibly even lose, we're going to spend 3 chapters on it. If we're going to go to this battle and it's an easy victory because it's just a scouting party, we're going to skip over completely and just next chapter, it starts coming back from the battle to witness a problem that happened while we were gone. And it eventually got so tiring after like book 5. I was like, dude, can these people catch a break? Sweet Jeebus.
Yeah, that sounds really tedious.
It got tedious after a while. It was great at the beginning, but after a while it started to get a little tedious. There were little pockets of enjoyability because throughout most of the books he goes through different cultures and you get to see what the Japanese dragons are like, what the American dragons are like, what the South American, whatever, right? But in between those little pockets of, hey, here's a culture, It was just tedious problem after problem. But yeah, so I can see it coming from Bantam.
Well, like, I guess thinking about it while you were talking, if you were to take each chapter and cut it into, let's say, an equal 5 parts, what would be a perfect book for me would be 1 part conversation, 2 parts combat, to 2 parts description, explanation, exploration. You know, like, it gets exhausting listening to a whole bunch of characters fucking talk about stuff that I don't care about. If the conversation is entirely plot driven and not just characters, like, you know, bantering, it's like, okay, that's neat and everything, but I can move on. Like, there were a lot of times in this book where I was like, okay, can you guys, like, move on to the next set piece so that something can happen?
I'll admit there were a couple parts I'm like, you know, I could skip this. I know it happens, and I actually don't like this particular chapter. I toughed through it, but I have committed the great sin of listening to it at 1.2 speed.
Welcome to the club.
just to get through some of those parts a bit faster, because there were a couple parts I'm like, all right, I don't care about this. It was good the first time, but in doing a reread, it's like, all right, yep, nope, I get it. Yep. But yeah, any closing thoughts, dragons?
No.
No closing thoughts?
If you befriend a dragon, you will die. FYI to anyone who thinks about going down this path.
Okay, that's not fair. A lot of us, like the vast majority of Asala's friends lived.
If you best befriend a dragon, you're likely to die.
If you best befriend. I'm not befriending you. I'm best befriending you. I like that.
All right. I asked at the end of the last episode, Dilettante, has your opinion changed? Would you live in this world?
Nope. No hesitation.
Bantam?
No.
I still say no to live, yes to visit. This is definitely the arc during the downfall of the dragons, and it's like, I don't want the downfall of the dragons, thank you.
Yeah.
But what if we could come with our armies and save them?
Oh.
Now there's a thought.
There is a thought.
I don't know. This place is like the Florida of Dragon World. You'd like to visit it, but you don't want to live there.
How is it the Florida?
Trust me, it's the Florida.
All right, Florida dragon. Why you still live there then?
It's very hard to get out.
Wonder which dragon world will find that's the Australia of dragon worlds.
Probably my... okay, it's kind of egotistical to say my world, so I'll
No,
hold
I
up.
want to think it's yours. The Australia of dragon worlds would be one where dragons, while powerful, are actually one of the lower life forms because everything is trying to kill and eat them. But it's all like a flora and fauna, not humans.
Right. I forgot to mention the giant sandworms that also live in the deserts.
This is the world that Bantam wants to live in, where he's going to get eaten.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I feel like there's 3 things we do every episode. One is bash Tolkien. One is make fun of Dilettante in some way. And
Yeah.
3 is constantly outing Bantam as being into Vor.
Yeah.
All right, guys, take a swing at me. It's my turn to have one.
You cat.
Gonna hold up a little sign and say roast me.
Yep. You're a cat.
Explain yourself. That's definitely like listeners need to understand the context for that to work. So explain yourself.
Ray really like he does not like cats as much as he likes dogs because he considers cats to be assholes, which they are. They are assholes, but I love cats. But I love cats because I'm lazy and I don't want to have to take it for walks. And I don't want to have to bathe it. Cats bathe themselves. They get their own exercise. And yeah, the trade-off is they're dicks and they knock over your shit. But when you're laying in bed and this very, very soft, warm, vibrating thing comes and climbs up onto your chest and starts making biscuits into your fucking belly, nothing is better than that. Dogs are not cuddly and soft. Their fur is gross and oily because they have to be bathed, and their paws are rough and not fun to have stepping on you. It's like everything about dogs is like, yeah, I'd get down on one knee and pet a dog, but a cat, I'm gonna pick that shit up and I'm gonna fucking cuddle the shit out of it. But Ray has a lot of, and I'm talking real life, he has a lot of qualities of a cat. Like, he literally will come in, because I live with Ray, and he will
Pamper me.
He will come into my room, flop down on my bed, and go, pay attention to me. And he will, like, tug at my cords, like my controller or my headset or whatever. He'll just completely fuck up my...
I've never tugged at your cords.
He'll fuck up my blankets. I have to fucking remake my nest every night because he's been in here.
I am a dragon that demands attention. This is true. But that's because I'm amazing and I deserve it.
Yeah. I feel like dragons are more like cats than they are dogs.
They tend to act that way, I'll admit. There are a lot of books that will always say cat-like at some point when referring to a dragon's action. Like the way they sit, the way they stretch, the way they lay down, the way they whatever. Almost every book has at least one point where they'll say that emotion or a habit of a dragon is cat-like.
Yeah.
Now, what were you saying, Dilaton?
I said I'm living proof that I am not cat-like.
That's true.
You're the overweight dog that lives and does nothing?
Yes.
And then we have to put it down?
No.
Dilaton, what's your swing at me? He's calling me a cat. What about you? What are you going to do to me?
Van kind of took the only swing that I can think of, so I got nothing. You know what? I'm going to call you a sponge because you're a water dragon. You filthy, wet thing.
You filthy, wet thing. That's great.
And then I just squirt water at you.
Yeah.
Ugh. All you sea dragons are the same.
Hey, Dilaton, you want to go swimming?
No.
Let's go swimming.
No, I'm good. The water's like fucking 30 degrees.
So good.
No.
I'm gonna continue my rain dance to bring the water to you.
Please don't. We haven't had any hurricanes yet. I don't want that to change.
I'm gonna wait till after my visit and then summon the hurricane. Oh yeah, I guess, listeners, about 3 weeks from now, I'm going on a little vacation.
Much needed.
Bantam's coming with me. We will be visiting someplace in Florida, so Dilaton will probably join us for a day. I only bring this up because we are unsure exactly how that's going to affect our upload schedule. We'll let you know when we figure it out. Right now we're thinking that next episode we're going to do the third book, and then the episode after that will be a Dilaton solo episode, and then we'll continue with our regularly scheduled nonsense afterwards when we come back from our trip.
All right, I'm trying to figure out what to make my solo episode about.
Yeah, you better start writing the script for that.
She only hates scripts.
I mean, you didn't have a
scratch.
No, but I'm good at just talking.
Are you?
I'm good at
How many times are we having? Oh God, I can't talk, and you're editing it out.
Okay, I'm good at thinking of things to discuss. I'm not good at verbalizing them. You won't believe how difficult the human language is on a dragon tongue. So, thank you for joining us, little treasures. We hope you enjoyed our discussion about the book Dragon Avenger, and hope you also enjoyed us answering the listener questions at the beginning. We would love to get more from you if you want to just send some questions about the show, or perhaps you have some questions about the book we just discussed, or you read the third book ahead of us and have some points you would like to suggest we discuss on the next episode. Be sure to let us know. Bantam, how can they do that?
All right, so our Twitter is @officialwadpod, and our email, if you'd like to send us questions like we answered in the beginning of this episode, our email is wadpodcastmail@gmail.com, and we do have a Patreon, and our Patreon is patreon.com/worldofdragonspodcast.
We'll try to think of some Patreon rewards.
Yeah, we don't have anything yet, but
we'll think. If you have suggestions, let us know. If we can get just random number, I don't know how realistic this is, but if we can get $100 a month, then we'll find some badly written dragon smut and have an episode where we just read it and do the voices for the characters, because that'll be fun to listen to.
I mean, I'd have fun recording it.
But yeah, we'll give us suggestions for rewards and we'll think of some too. Dilaton, what are we doing next time?
The next book we are doing will be Dragon Outcast by E.E. Knight, and we'll finally get to see if I was right or wrong about this goddamn copper.
Yeah, so the next book is going to be the point of view of the copper. I think that's pretty obvious. If not, it's the minors of spoilers. You find out 10 seconds into the book, so big deal. But yeah, it is the third book of the 6-book series, but it's the last one we will be doing at this time, just to take a break and do some other material. We may eventually come back and do the other 3. We're still... There's a lot on our to-do list in this beginning part of the show's life. But alright, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye!